It was late, and Zoya had just gotten off the school bus, her face pale, and her hands trembling slightly. Her father noticed instantly. "Zoya, is everything okay?" he asked, concerned. Zoya swallowed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Dad, he did it again." "The bus driver." Her father's expression turned serious. "What happened?" "He kept skipping stops on purpose, and he kept staring at me through the mirror," Zoya said, looking down, feeling uncomfortable. Without a moment's hesitation, her father reached for his phone. "I'm calling 911. This won't happen again." Zoya's heart pounded as she watched her father talk to the emergency dispatcher, giving them all the details. This time, she knew they wouldn't ignore her voice. The next morning, Zoya was getting ready for school, but the fear still lingered in her heart. She didn't want to get on the same bus again. She looked at her dad, wanting to say something. Her dad noticed her worry and said, "Zoya, don't worry. You won't be going on that bus today. The police questioned the driver last night. They promised to take this seriously." Zoya sighed in relief, but the questions still lingered. "Dad, what if they let him drive the bus again?" Her dad placed a reassuring hand on her head. "You don't have to be afraid, sweetheart. We'll make sure he can never bother you again. And if needed, we'll talk to the school about making other arrangements for you." A little while later, a different bus came to pick Zoya up, and this time, there was no unfamiliar face. She hugged her dad and whispered, "Thank you, Dad." Her dad smiled and said, "Your safety comes first, Zoya. You were brave to tell us about this." Zoya stepped onto the bus with confidence, knowing that nothing wrong would happen to her now. For the next few days, everything seemed normal. Zoya was now traveling in the new bus, and she felt relieved. But the bus driver's face would still flash in her mind from time to time, and a small part of her fear remained. One day, on the way back from school, her friend Sarah asked, "Zoya, are you okay? I've noticed you've been a little quiet lately." Zoya gave a slight smile and said, "Yes, Sarah, it's just, there are some things still stuck in my mind." She told her friend the whole story, and Sarah held her hand and said, "You showed a lot of courage, Zoya. Most people would have been too scared to say anything." Meanwhile, Zoya's dad stayed in touch with the school administration and the police. He wanted to make sure the driver would face consequences, so no other child would have to go through the same experience. Within a few days, the school issued a notice that the driver had been fired and legal action was being taken against him. When Zoya's dad shared the news with her, she felt a mixture of happiness and relief. She took a deep breath and told her dad, "Maybe now I can go to school in peace." Her dad placed his hand on her shoulder and said, "Absolutely, sweetheart. You did the right thing. Never be afraid to stand up for yourself. The world becomes a safer place because of brave people like you." Zoya nodded with confidence. She now understood that standing up for the truth is never wrong.